I'd like you to imagine your dream life. See the version of you who has what you want to have, feels how you want to feel, and is who you want to be. I'm Brittany Hoops, your hypnotherapist and manifestation coach, and this is the show where I'll teach you to master the full power of your mind, to guide you on your journey towards destination manifestation.
Take a step back for the ones who can't do that.
Welcome back, travelers. So let me ask you this. Has your mind been sufficiently blown by our neuroscientific manifestation series yet? I mean, I know mine has. And we've only scratched the surface. So today we're going to be jumping in even further, okay? We're going to explore emotional regulation, behavioral psychology, the law of action, gratitude, and the brain's reward systems, among many other things. So if you don't know what those terms mean yet, it's okay. You soon will. That's what we're going to be covering here today. And let me tell you, this episode, I think, is just going to kick your cutie patootie into gear. I don't know why I've turned into like an 80-year-old man. And I don't mean your butt when I say that. I mean your brain, okay? And it's going to help you get aligned to those inspired actions that are a direct match to your manifestations. That's the whole reason why we explore these things, right? So let's just go ahead and dive in. So we know by now, as you should know by now, if you've listened to part 1 and part 2, and this is part 3, right? Yeah, part 3. We know by now that our emotions play a key role in manifesting our desires. We talked about this in the last episode when we were talking about cognitive dissonance and being a vibrational match to your desires and all those things. Your emotions signal to you if you are a match. If you're a match, you're going to feel good, right? Great. Yay. I feel good. Positive emotions. You're a match. If they feel bad, then you know that they're not a match, right? Pretty simple. So we also know that our emotions are a key driver of our actions. So I kind of like to think of the emotions, our emotional, our emotions, our feelings is kind of like the fuel, like the gas or the electricity that you would use to fuel a car, or that it's the fuel, your emotions are the fuel that fuels your actions that's going to help you arrive at destination manifestation. So positive, high vibration emotions like joy and gratitude and excitement, they're all super powerful because they also activate parts of the brain that are linked to motivation and creativity. But on the flip side of that, right, we have negative, low vibration emotions like fear and doubt. They activate different parts of the brain. Primarily the amygdala, right? This is the brain's fear center, which can make it harder for us to take those bold actions and take that, next big step. So when it comes to manifesting, you can see now the importance of regulating your emotions, right? When we talk about emotional regulation, I think we think of it most in the context of like, regulating emotions, right? So that means like, being able to, I don't want to say control, but like, in a way, control your emotions to be able to like recognize emotions, process emotions, allow them to move through you, right? You regulate them. So when we use techniques like gratitude practices or hypnotherapy, this helps regulate our emotional state. And when I say regulate, that means process and allow the emotions that's there to move through you, but also to be able to be in a resource state, to be resourced enough to be able to find and seek and create other emotions within us that feel better, that give us a better, more positive mindset, right? When we regulate emotions and maintain those strong, positive, receptive emotions, we create a strong, positive, receptive mindset. And we do this not only because it feels good, right? When you feel good emotions, you feel good, right? It feels calming. It feels good to our brain, but also because it allows us to be clear-headed enough to take those inspired actions that help us stay aligned to our goals. That's another really great benefit of this. So I would say kind of one of the clearest examples that I see of this phenomenon of, having a clear mind with the positive emotions is with my clients that are wanting to manifest, like, say, their dream bodies, like a weight loss goal or exercise goal or something like that. So often we think that if we beat up on ourselves, if we think, oh, how stupid you are, you shouldn't have ate that, like, don't do that. Like, if we berate ourselves, we think that this sort of language will somehow punish ourselves into making better, healthier choices at the next meal. I don't know where us humans came up with that. I actually have some theories I'm going to share, but I've seen this again and again and again with clients who just beat themselves up thinking that that's going to motivate them somehow to make positive, healthy changes. But it actually has the exact opposite effect. It has the exact opposite outcome. Making healthy choices never comes from the emotion of fear and of shame and of rejection of self. It just doesn't. Okay, those emotions don't fuel. They are not a vibrational match to the vibration of eating healthy and exercise, essentially self-care habits. Why in the world would we begin to think that we could beat ourselves up and punish ourselves enough to take care of ourselves, to motivate ourselves to take care of ourselves? It doesn't work. We have to emotionally take care of ourselves so that we'll physically take care of ourselves. So we know that healthy eating and exercise habits, they're fueled by love and compassion towards ourselves, even if we eat something that we know isn't the best for our body or we miss a workout, offering ourselves compassion even in those instances. So it's counterintuitive to what we think, but it makes so much sense, right? Especially as we think about what we talked about last time about being a vibrational match. You have to take care of yourselves. You have to take care of yourself emotionally to be motivated to take care of yourself physically. So my personal theory about why in the world we do this, like why in the world would we think punishing ourselves would lead to, positive outcomes? I think it stems from how we were treated as children. Because so often adults will punish or yell at children in order to get them to behave in some certain way. And that's like the least effective way to get what you want, adults. It's very ineffective. And it might work temporarily, okay? That child might be so fearful of you, might be so scared of you, might be so dependent on you to, fulfill its survival needs that it will succumb to what you're yelling about and it will behave in a certain way, but it's going to be a temporary solution. And I put solution in quotation marks, right? Because it's not a solution at all. That poor child might be so scared or fearful enough that it might temporarily stop doing that unwanted action, but it's not effective, especially in the long term. But so many of us grew up in that environment that we learned those deep-rooted subconscious patterns. We learned, if somebody yells at us, then that will change our behavior. And so then we start practicing and repeating that pattern ourselves. We start yelling at us, thinking that it's going to change our behavior. We start talking to ourselves in that way. As our adult selves, we start punishing and berating ourselves in that way to try to get ourselves to take or to not take certain actions. But what's the old saying? You can catch more flies with honey than vinegar, right? The same is true with your manifestations too. You inspire more action with kindness and compassion than with punishment and berating. Okay? Because kindness and compassion are positive emotional states, which we learned at last episode. They're the vibrational matches to your desires. Because you wouldn't desire something unless it was positive. It was a positive state. Now, if you want to manifest a negative outcome for yourself, go right ahead. Be as mean as you want to yourself. That's how you'll manifest it. But I doubt that's why you're listening to a manifestation podcast if you want to manifest something mean for yourself. I've never encountered anybody who wanted to do that. So, I mentioned a few different practices that are great for emotional regulation. Let's dive into them a little bit deeper, okay? One is a gratitude practice. Now, if you have studied manifestation any at all, I am sure you are probably tired of hearing about gratitude practices. They seem so simple on the surface, right? They're mentioned so often, but I say they're mentioned so often because there's a reason, right? Gratitude activates the brain's reward centers. So when you practice gratitude and you're thinking those grateful thoughts, it releases dopamine, it releases serotonin, serotonin. Those are our feel-good neurotransmitters. They're associated with feelings of well-being and motivation. So if you are regularly practicing gratitude, meaning it's a habit of thought for you, it's something you do nearly every day, if not every day, you're thinking of things that you're grateful for. This shifts your mental focus from one that's primarily focusing on scarcity, like not enough. Where is it? Where's my manifestation? There's no manifestations. That's a very scarcity mindset. You practice gratitude, then you're moving towards a mindset of abundance, right? Focusing on all the things you have, everything that's enough, that you have more than enough, all the manifestations, right? You've moved into that vibration now. Now, as Dr. Joe Dispenza says, gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. And that makes a whole lot of sense. That's true because when you're in a state of gratitude, there's kind of two main things that happen. One, you're in that high vibrational state, like I mentioned before, which allows you to attract your manifestations. And two, you're focused on what you want and your having of it. So, I think that's important. That's kind of like point number 2 is a 2-step one. You focus on what you want. That could be a thing that you already have. That could be something that you want to have. And you focus on the having of it. So that's easy to do when it's something you already have. I'm in this big, beautiful house. I love my house. I focus on having it. Easy for me to do because I do have it. You can be grateful for things that you haven't yet manifested. You just have to find the feeling of having it as you're grateful for it. Really make it feel real to you. But when you're focused on what you want and the having of it, you manifest having more of what you want, right? The having of what you want, which that's the strongest vibrational match you could even hope for when it comes to your manifestations. And that's what's so cool about gratitude is that you can be grateful for things that you don't yet have. Like, that's fine. I'm grateful for things that don't yet exist all the time. But it's equally as powerful just to be grateful for things that you already have. And that vibration is equally as powerful for manifesting the things that don't yet exist in your 3D reality. So I guess my point is to say that you don't have to focus on the thing you want to use gratitude to manifest the thing you want. So by being focused on, oh my gosh, I'll show you if you're watching the YouTube, look at these beautiful flowers my husband got me. I'm recording this on the day that we found out the election results. So it's a couple weeks from when you're listening to this. So my husband got me flowers that basically are like, sorry, our country sucks for you. That's my interpretation of it. He is the most loving husband ever. Of course, he would never, ever, ever vote to, in any way that would impact my bodily, autonomy or harm. So I think he's, obviously there's a lot of emotions going on. And so I appreciate the kind gesture. Anyways, how did I get off on that? Oh, I'm focusing on what I want, right? What I'm grateful for. An amazing husband who's so caring. These beautiful flowers, this amazing office that I have. It's really beautiful sunlight right now, right? I can focus on all these things I have, and that has put me in the vibrational match to match those things I want, even though I haven't mentioned any of my manifestations of the things that I don't yet physically have. Does that make sense? So focusing on gratitude reinforces a positive mindset, which is just a good thing to begin with, which then attracts more of what you appreciate and more for you to appreciate, right? Including those new things that you want to appreciate in your life, those things that you're currently manifesting. If you're appreciative of things, the universe is going to give you more to appreciate, and those are your manifestations. It also trains your brain to notice and to seek out more of the reasons to be grateful. Remember part 1, we talked about the RAS, the reticular activating system that filters out the brain. When you are giving the brain instructions of gratitude, instructions of things to be grateful for, it now will find and give you access and filter in more of those things to be grateful for. So it kind of creates this beautiful positive spiral. The more you're grateful, the more your brain seeks out things to be grateful for, the more you notice grateful things in your life. It's just like boom, 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 boom. There's so much, so much good when you're in that state of gratitude. Now, my personal favorite practice, and I think I've talked about this on the show before, is keeping a gratitude note on my cell phone. So I've kept this note. I've just looked at it recently. I've kept this note for over 7 years now. I will admit, I don't add to it every day. But I try to add to it. I go through spurts of like, I'll add to it every day or maybe once a week or something like that. And I just looked it up. It has 3,320 unique entries in this list. It's now, if you're wondering how big an Apple iPhone Note can get before it starts glitching, it's 3,320 entries. Like however many characters that is, like it still lets me type in it. I'm just waiting for the day where it's like hit max, need to start new note. One of these days it will tell me that. But it definitely lags when I type. Like there's so much in this note. And I call them unique entries. I would say not all of them are unique. Like I bet you I mentioned my husband and my house probably like 1,000,000 times each in this note. But I will say that I added each new entry at a new point in time, meaning the focus of the gratitude, the creation of the gratitude was unique each time, and was felt each time I added something to it. So that's a whole lot of gratitude, right? Now, my personal practice is I like to start each day adding a few entries, and then I like to go back and reread the old entries. It's just kind of fun. I used to be like a big journaler, and as I've become an adult and, just life's gotten in the way, just sitting down to journal every day isn't just something I prioritize. And so this is kind of like my form of journaling too. It's really fun to go back and read and be like, oh, I was grateful for this, this, and this. That must have been, during this time period or something. It's kind of like a mini journal or a mini time capsule to see what you've been grateful for over the years, which is really fun. So another great practice for emotional regulation, of course, is hypnotherapy. You have heard me talk about this quite a bit. As a self-proclaimed emotional gal, that is what I would consider myself. I don't know who I'd be or what I'd do without daily hypnotherapy. Like, I can remember, there was times in my life, even my adult life before I discovered hypnotherapy, that I'm like, how did I get by? Like, how do other humans do it that don't do hypnotherapy? I'd be really curious because I can't remember what it's like without it. Like, it keeps me sane. Talk about emotional regulation. Like, it is it for me. The days I skip it, like we had some guests in town over the weekend and I had a bunch of fun with them. It was great, but I didn't do hypnotherapy for a couple days. Whew, I was feeling it. That was like, I closed the door and said goodbye to them. And I was like, to my hypnotherapy, like straight, like I feel it. I need it. My emotional nervous system just sort of craves it. So I feel like there's so much talk, these days about emotional regulation and nervous system regulation and vagus nerve stimulation, all those things. Hypnotherapy calms and heals it all. So what it does is it turns off the conscious mind, and not like off. It softens it. It sort of silences it. Sometimes it will always be there a little bit in the background, depending on how deep or how light of a hypnosis session you have, depends on how much the conscious mind has still been invited. But it essentially turns off the ego, the part of the brain that's ruminating, thinking thoughts, thinking conscious mind, problem solving, planning, that's ruminating on fear or lack or doubt or any sort of, emotional stress. And then it allows your mind to tune in to emotional states of your own design. So I like to think of it kind of like it puts you back into the driver's seat. It makes you decide rather than your conscious mind running you. It allows you to say, okay, what are the patterns and the behaviors and the programs that I want to run in my life? It's funny. I once had a client call it a mental massage, and I was like, ooh, I'm going to steal that term because it's so appropriate for what it is. It's so true. Not only is it deeply relaxing, but it's also very deeply emotionally restorative and healing too, because we can literally send to the subconscious mind to say, hey, we want to create new emotional habits, new emotional patterns, and your emotions reside in the subconscious mind. So you're able to access and heal them at such a greater level than just like talking about it. I kind of think like conscious mind talking about emotions is like the equivalent of reading a book on how to ride a bike. Like it might be helpful. And some of those things about how to write a book that you read in that book, or how to write a book, how to ride a bike you read in a book, you might remember some helpful things, but it's not really like you got to actually ride the bike to know how to do it, right? And that's kind of what it's like talking about emotions using your conscious mind. Like Just go into the subconscious where they reside and resolve it there. I still do coaching because it is helpful for some people to have kind of this conscious mind pairing with the subconscious mind. But I would say like 4 out of 5 times, which, is a lot. We'll coach on something and then we'll get into hypnotherapy and we'll end up uncovering something completely different or something deeper than what we could access through conscious mind alone. And so that's why hypnotherapy, I dedicate most of our session towards the hypnotherapy because, we can talk about it all day. It isn't till you get in there in the subconscious mind that you really know what's at play there. So if you want to heal, release, process emotions, the most effective way to do that is going to be working at the subconscious level, right? So we know the role that emotions have, and we know how they influence behavior. So a lot of times, not you guys, since you guys know better, you listen to this show, right? But a lot of times, and a lot of people who misunderstand manifestation, they might be inclined to think that manifestation is kind of this purely mental woo-woo process. But I know that you guys know that it is actually rooted very solidly and heavily in action and behavior. It is not all woo-woo. You got to get off your cutie patootie, like I said before, and go do something. And this time I do mean your butt. Get off your butt and go do something, right? So very few manifestations just apparate about out of thin air, right? You very seldom are you just going to be sitting on the couch, binging your favorite Netflix show. I mean, it's not unheard of, but it is very rare. Most of your manifestations will require your inspired action and with some sort of component of it. Okay. And oftentimes it might require a lot of it. So for example, I'm writing a manifestation book. I think I mentioned that to you guys. Have I mentioned that already? If not, surprise, I'm writing a manifestation book and I'm so excited. It will be available for you to read years from now. So hopefully you're still listening by then. But I'm very excited. I'm in very early stages of the research for the book, right? So I'm writing this manifestation book. This book ain't writing itself, right? It's not any AI created thing. It's not going to write itself. I am creating it. It's a Brittany created thing. So I have to sit down and I have to write it. And that takes alignment and action. I couldn't just sit at my desk and be like, writing a book. Like the book isn't going to come. I might get some ideas for the book, but that is going to require me to pick up my fingers and type them out. So that's why understanding behavioral psychology can be really helpful for manifestation, because behavioral psychology suggests that reinforcing positive beliefs leads to behavioral changes, which in turn, you make those changes in your behavior, that's going to affect your manifestations and your outcomes. So it's kind of this constant feedback loop, right? You take action, even if you take really small steps, that then signals to your brain that you're committed to your goal. It's all so interconnected, and that's why it's all so important. So let's just say you take a small action. Let's say you wanted to manifest a promotion at work, okay? So you're going to decide that now is the time to get that professional certification that's really going to make you stand out compared to your peers who might also be up for the promotion. So even by taking that smallest of steps, just by signing up for that class, you haven't even attended any of the classes yet, you just signed up, you've now started to strengthen your belief that, yes, I'm getting this promotion. Yes, I am one step closer to this promotion. That signals to your brain. And so that positive thought creates positive emotions like confidence, self-assurance within you, right? And these are vibrational matches to your desire of that promotion, which in turn makes it easier for you to show up to class again. You see what I mean? It's like this one big, huge feedback loop. One just sort of builds upon the other, builds upon the other, builds upon the other, and all of a sudden you're a destination manifestation, okay? I like to think, and just for the sake of describing things, I like to think that it stems from the thought, that it's the thought that creates the emotions, that create the actions, that create the manifestations. But I will admit, sometimes they very much overlap. So it's kind of like Abraham Hicks, the manifestation teacher, uses the example of like getting onto a merry-go-round. You remember merry-go-round in your, during your recess days as a kid? You just got to get on the merry-go-round at some point in time. So sometimes they overlap. Sometimes actions make it easier to think thoughts. Sometimes actions create or reinforce feelings. Some feelings reinforce actions. Some thoughts lead to actions and you skip the feeling altogether. Like they're very crisscross and interconnected, at times. So I don't want to reduce it down to this, like it is, this way, because it's just one big spiral. And now we have to decide, do we want that to be an upward spiral or do we want it to be a downward spiral? That is all determined by the vibration that you're carrying. So all of this is to say that once your brain is rewired to believe in the possibility of achieving your goal, you're going to be more likely to take those necessary actions, right? Because who wants to take action if they don't believe that it's going to amount to anything? That is really hard to do. And I want you to not feel bad about yourself with that, okay? Everyone. Here I've been teaching this and studying this for almost 17 years now. If I don't believe that this manifestation is possible for me, I don't take action on it. That's just inherently human, okay? Because it's no fun. Boo, no fun, right? That's one of the reasons why, I feel like recently in my life, I've been continually refining my social media process. Because guys, oh my God, can I vent to you for a second? Social media, like Instagram and TikTok, please follow me there. Make me feel better about it, because this has been such a big lesson of manifestation for me. I'll follow what some teacher says to do online, right? Because I own a business. I should be on social media. This is the world we live in. There's me sounding like a grandpa again. But I'll do what the teacher says to do online, but it feels completely out of alignment for me. I don't believe it will work. And so then what do I end up manifesting? I'm no special. Manifestation laws apply to me equally as they apply to anybody else, right? I end up manifesting it not working, right? Or very few views compared to what I would like, right? So whenever I notice myself doing this, or I've noticed myself in this sort of resistant state around it, I pause, I realign, I refine my process from that realignment. I figure out what is separating me here from that feeling of fun and happiness in this process. What is keeping me disconnected from fun and happiness with this? And what do I need to do to make this fun? What do I need to do so that I'm happy as I'm taking this action, right? Because I know taking action out of a place of misalignment I'd be better off taking no action, right? I know it's not going to be helpful for me to do it from any other place. So how do I get into that place, right? And I know that if I can figure out that's going to help me reach the audience that needs that message that day, right? That's what alignment is. That's the vibrational match. And so I want you to remember here that manifestation isn't just about thinking. Okay? It's about aligning your thoughts with purposeful actions. And even Abraham Hicks would say, if you haven't found that place of alignment, don't do anything until you do. You'd be better off. And I think that's where I get frustrated, not because I'm not doing this process, but because I'm continually having to come back. I haven't quite clicked into that alignment with this yet. I will. And the good thing about me is I won't give up on the process until I do. I can count on myself enough, because I know how manifestation works. I can count on myself enough to know, okay, that's what I'm going to do. But we can't leave the action piece out of this equation. Now, does the action have to feel hard and dreadful? No, that's exactly what I was talking about. We don't want to take action if it's going to feel hard and dreadful. In fact, we know that kind of action would not be in vibrational alignment with our desires. So I think a lot of us, hear the word action, or here's an even worse one for you: work. Ooh, when I say the word work, think about the connotations. We often assume negative or hard connotations with the words action or with the words work. But no, manifested action is taking aligned action. It's taking inspired action. In fact, like I said before, I would recommend don't take any action until you can get your thoughts and emotions lined up with it. And I think that's where sometimes, the temporary frustration comes with social media for me, because I'll be like, okay, Monday, I'm going to work on social media stuff. And then I'll do some action, but I won't be aligned. And that's what, don't do as I do as I say. Okay. Get into alignment first, because this literally happened to me the other day. I did all this work on social media, and then I figured out this reel, and then I was like, this this is not going to do well. Like, I know enough about it that like, this is not what my audience wants. This was just what some teacher said to do. And it's just totally out of alignment with me. And then I was like, okay, so all that work I just spent, a couple hours on kind of went down the drain because it was done from a place of misalignment. So I was like, okay, Brittany, let's go get back into alignment and then take action from there. And so save yourself some time and do it that way first, right? So when I feel this social media process feeling pushy or feeling dreadful, I stop. Even if it's frustrating, even if I know I wasted some time, I stop. I realign. I figure out what thought or what part of this process is feeling out of alignment. Is it the way that I'm creating? Is it what I'm creating? Is it the topic I'm talking about? Is it the way that I'm creating it? What is it? What is it about this medium that brings up resistance within me? And then I work on fixing and refining it, right? And it's so funny because you take something like this podcast, and this podcast is so freaking effortless. Like, I just talk and we just have a conversation and you guys just like know me. Like, it's pure aligned action. I love every bit of it. And that's why I'm manifesting. I'm manifesting a career in a business and a world where I just get to do this all day. I get to write my books. I get to teach. I take on select one-on-one clients. And that is just like my whole career from now on until forever. Like, somebody else can run my social media channels. Like, that's the place that I'm getting to, right? And so I want to find that kind of flow and alignment with social media too. Like, there's no reason other than my thought about it that Instagram and TikTok can't be as effortless as this podcast, Like, there's no reason why. So I am on my way to finding it. If you struggle with this and you want to know my solution when I find it, I'll let you know. But, I share this story because I want you to know it's okay if it's a journey to find your alignment with something. Just keep coming back to it because the action that you take out of alignment, it's going to be wasted action anyways. So just keep on getting that alignment so that those actions that flow from that alignment are going to be actions that are beneficial to you and your manifestations. So we talked about part of this being, a big component of this really being your belief, right? We've talked about belief before and how crucial belief can be when aligning your actions with your manifestations. Well, I love that we touched on belief because it's so important. This is exactly why I designed my latest course, Be Confident in 30 Days. It was to try to think about, okay, how can I help folks build up their belief? Because we know belief is so incredibly important. I think confident is kind of another misunderstood word sometimes. I think sometimes when we think about confidence, we think of, public speaking, or we think about, feeling confident enough to wear a bikini to the beach, which, don't get me wrong, both of those things might require some confidence. But confidence can also refer to your belief. Right? The belief that you have in yourself, in your capabilities, and also the belief that you have in your dreams, that this dream can happen for you and will happen for you and is made for someone like you, right? That requires a lot of belief, which requires a lot of confidence. So does this dream feel possible for me? Do I believe that I can manifest it? I want to know, what's the answer to your questions? If you don't answer yes to both those questions, I think you would really benefit from this, okay? Because that's kind of confidence, that kind of belief is crucial for manifesting. Because as we learned today, if you don't have that, right, you don't have a foundation in which to take aligned action. You're going to be like me, which is so funny. Oh my God, I need to go back and do that. Okay, I'm going to write that down to myself. I need to take my 30-day course through the lens of social media, because that would just cinch it right up there. I don't yet believe that my social media efforts are beneficial, are valuable. And so I'm going to literally take this 30-day course on social media so that we can see how this goes, right? So that's why I created this kind of process, right? This 30-day self-paced course. It's designed to help you build that belief. And it's very, very action focused. Okay. In fact, every day we do a little short teaching, and then you take some sort of action. And it's very digestible. I think it takes no more than like 30 minutes a day. So you just set aside half an hour each day for 30 days. You will take that action. You're going to listen to either one of the 13 hypnotherapy sessions that are provided. I have you do some action challenges in there. You might do some guided journaling in there. It's really different each day. But for example, on day 12, I teach you how to take your daily confidence climb, okay? And this is a super, super, super powerful process that I've only really taught my one-on-one clients before that can help you build the habit of taking aligned action. On day 25, we dive deep into using confidence to fuel your actions, okay? This is all about the aligned action. Once you have the confidence, once you have the belief, we know because of the law of action and behavioral psychology that is going to now fuel actions for you. Not to mention all the uncovering and all the discovery that goes into building your belief up from the ground up that happens along the way throughout the 30 days. So if you want to join me, 30-day belief building bonanza, let's do it together. I'm going to redo it. I mean, of course, I've done it before on other subjects, but I'm going to redo it on social media because I actually kind of forgot. I love taking my own courses. They're so helpful that I love taking it. I seriously am like my best student. I love taking these courses. If you want to do the 30 days with me, sign up, join now. Let's do it now. I mean, think about it this way. 30 days from now, a mere month from now, that is such a little amount of time in the whole scheme of things. If you're listening to this live, that is literally before the end of 2024. I don't know about you, but I see people in my neighborhood, they already put out the Christmas decorations. Like, you could have belief and confidence in yourself before you enter 2025. You could go into 2025 saying, wow, yes, I truly wholeheartedly believe that I'm going to manifest the life I want to live. Like, that could be you. Because when you believe it, you'll receive it. All the manifestation things that we do, like anything I talk about on this podcast, is purely just another way to get you to believe that it's possible. Because when you believe it, you receive it. Plus, as a fun sort of like little special gift, I decided to do something special for the podcast listeners because I love you guys. I'm going to include a free bonus manifestation hypnotherapy audio with the course. Okay. So all you got to do to get that is you don't have to DM me or anything. I will know that it's you because use the link in the show notes, the description for the podcast, to sign up for the course. And that will allow you to snag that little extra manifestation hypnotherapy audio while you're at it. Okay? Yay! Well, guys, that wraps up part 3 of our neuroscientific manifestation exploration. Try to say that 3 times fast. So be sure to tune in next week. We have our final part of the series. It's going to be part 4. We're going to uncover several things. We're going to cover the self-fulfilling prophecy, the expectancy theory, theta brainwaves, and subconscious reprogramming, which you guys know is the good stuff. And we're going to cover the power of intention. Okay. So if you haven't watched or listened part 1 and part 2, go back, catch up so you can get the full picture of how to use your brain to manifest. And I'll see you in the next episode.